Welcome to another C2 Proficiency esl-lounge reading lesson video. Today we will be reading 4 satirical how-to guides to understand how writers use humor and irony to criticize modern behavior. Let's begin with some vocabulary. Ambiguous, not having one obvious meaning. Aspirational, showing a desire to achieve a high level of success or social status. Connoisseur, an expert judge in matters of taste. Curate, to select, organize and present content, originally in a museum but now more widely. Inadequate, lacking the quality or quantity required, insufficient for a purpose. Interlocutor, a person who takes part in a dialogue or conversation. Jargon, special words or expressions that are used by a particular profession or group and are difficult for others to understand. Juxtaposition, the fact of two things being seen or placed close together with contrasting effect. Maneuver, a carefully planned and executed scheme or action. Nebulous, in the form of a cloud or haze, hazy, vague or ill-defined. Percussive, relating to or produced by striking something with force. Persona, the aspect of someone's character that is presented to or perceived by others. Great. Now you know the key words, let's read the texts. You are going to read 4 satirical guides. Read them carefully to understand the author's tone and the true meaning behind their advice. Afterwards, you will answer 10 questions to check your interpretation of the satirical purpose of each guide. Okay, let's start with text A. James Fraser on How to Sound Knowledgeable About Modern Art. The primary technique is to master the art of the confident yet utterly ambiguous statement. Never, under any circumstances, say you like a piece of art. This reveals a hopelessly amateurish disposition. Instead, murmur appreciatively about its interesting textual dialogue, or its subversive commentary on late-stage capitalism. Use the word juxtaposition at least twice. Frown thoughtfully. The performance of deep contemplation is far more important than any genuine understanding of the work's actual meaning or historical context. If pressed for a more detailed opinion, simply state that the work is highly problematic, and then immediately ask your companion what they think, thus transferring the burden of actual interpretation. Remember, the goal is not to understand the art, but to project an aura of effortless intellectual superiority. The key is to imply a vast reserve of knowledge that you are simply too sophisticated to deploy on such a trivial occasion. A well-timed, knowing sigh is more effective than 1,000 coherent sentences. True mastery is achieved when you can make others feel inadequate without having said anything of substance at all. End of text A. Let's continue. Charlotte Davies on How to Look Productive in an Open-Plan Office. Your primary tool is your keyboard. You must cultivate the ability to type with a furious, percussive intensity at all times, even if you are merely composing an email to your cousin about a family gathering. Frown often, conveying the immense cognitive load of your vital tasks. Master the art of sighing audibly, but not so loudly as to invite inquiry. Occasionally pick up your phone, stare at it with profound disappointment, and then put it down again with force. Walk purposefully around the office holding a single, unimportant piece of paper. This creates the illusion of a cross-departmental mission of great urgency. Always leave a half-finished cup of coffee on your desk to signal that you were torn away by a more pressing matter. Never eat lunch at your desk, as this suggests poor time management. Instead, disappear for precisely 27 minutes, returning with a look of renewed yet weary determination. The aim is not to do work, but to perform the idea of work. Your colleagues will be both impressed and slightly intimidated. End of text B. Let's continue. Raphael Byrne on How to Politely End a Conversation. The amateur will simply make an excuse and leave, a brutishly unsubtle tactic. The true connoisseur of conversation ending understands it is a delicate art form. The gradual retreat is a classic maneuver. Begin by subtly turning your feet and shoulders away from your interlocutor, signaling your intention to depart on a subconscious level. Then, You can deploy the future projection gambit. I'm so sorry, I mustn't keep you. I know you have that big meeting later. This masterstroke reframes your departure as an act of selfless consideration for their busy schedule. The beauty of this approach lies in its ability to make your escape appear almost altruistic rather than self-serving. For more persistent conversationalists, the external urgency is required. Glance at your watch with a flicker of alarm, even if you have nowhere to be. A muttered phrase like, "Goodness, is that the time?" is usually sufficient. The ultimate goal is to make the other person believe the conversation's conclusion was a mutual, or even their own, decision. End of text C. Let's continue. Audrey Holland on how to be a digital nomad. First, you must curate a flawless online persona. Your social media feed should consist exclusively of photos of your laptop artfully placed next to an infinity pool or a pristine tropical beach. Caption these images with vague, inspiring quotes about living your truth or escaping the 9-to-5. It is imperative that you never show the reality, the patchy Wi-Fi, the cramped hostel room, the profound loneliness. The maintenance of this elaborate fiction requires constant vigilance and an almost theatrical commitment to the performance of success. Second, learn to describe your work in the most nebulous terms possible. You are not a freelance copywriter, you are a location-independent content strategist, or a digital brand evangelist. Remember to refer to your income as monetizing your passion. The goal is to create an aspirational fantasy for your followers, a lifestyle brand that obscures the mundane reality of chasing invoices and dealing with time zone-related confusion. Your life is not a life. It is a meticulously curated and monetized performance for an online audience. Okay, time for a few questions to check your understanding. Question 1. Which writer gives guidance on the use of noise and theater as key tools in your armory? Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is B. Charlotte Davies. The text recommends typing with furious, percussive intensity, which is noise, and describes the overall goal as a performance of work, which is theater. Question 2. Which writer mocks the use of pretentious jargon to appear intelligent? Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is A. James Fraser. The text gives satirical examples of jargon, such as murmuring about a painting's interesting textural dialogue or its subversive commentary. Question 3. Which writer describes techniques for manipulating someone's perception of an interaction? Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is C. Raphael Byrne. The text's ultimate goal is to make the other person believe the conversation's conclusion was a mutual, or even their own, decision, which is a clear form of manipulation. Question 4. Which writer focuses on creating an exaggerated impression of being busy and important? Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is B. Charlotte Davies. The text recommends actions like walking purposefully around the office to create the illusion of a cross-departmental mission of great urgency. Question 5. Which writer ridicules the gap between the idealized portrayal and the actual reality of a certain lifestyle? Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is D. Audrey Holland. The text says it is imperative that you never show the reality, the patchy Wi-Fi, the cramped hostel room, the profound loneliness. Question 6. Which writer suggests that appearing to be considerate can be a useful tool of social control? Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is C. Raphael Byrne. The text describes reframing your departure as an act of selfless consideration for their busy schedule, which is a tool for controlling the end of the conversation. Question 7. Which writer describes physical actions and props intended to create a misleading impression for colleagues? Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is B. Charlotte Davies. The text advises leaving a half-finished cup of coffee on your desk to signal that you were torn away by a more pressing matter, which is a perfect example. Question 8. Which writer implies that the main objective is to make other people feel insecure about their own knowledge? Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is A. James Fraser. The text says that true mastery is achieved when you can make others feel inadequate, without having said anything of substance at all. Question 9. Which writer exposes the manufactured nature of a supposedly free way of living? Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is D. Audrey Holland. The text describes how the supposedly free lifestyle of a digital nomad requires constant vigilance and an almost theatrical commitment to the performance of success. Question 10. Which writer promotes making selfish actions appear beneficial for any person but themselves? Pause the video now to think about your answer. The correct answer is C. Raphael Byrne. The text praises the beauty of an approach that makes your selfish desire to escape a conversation appear almost altruistic rather than self-serving. Let's quickly summarize the lesson. On this screen you can review the main points of the text and the key vocabulary. Finally, here are a few discussion questions. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching this ESL Lounge video. Don't forget to subscribe for more lessons, and we'll see you in the next one.